Hello,
I guess
Gilbert. How's it going?
fine. Are we co-tasting a pleasant little whiskey from Alberta?
That's right.
Stampede.
It's called the this lovely gift that you gave me. It's called the Calgary Stampede, uh, Canadian West Rye Whiskey. Canadian Rye Whiskey, 40% alcohol, right? And it's the official whiskey of the Calgary Stampede.
Correctamundo. I'm
So,
gonna have one glass straight and one glass with ice in case Rona wants to do an ouchie Bernie.
Okay.
yeah, yeah, no, and Lena was going to do an ouchie Bernie little test too here. So,
Have you cracked
uh,
yours yet? Let's crack them.
let's crack it. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there's.
See if we can get a good cork pop here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. One for me and a small pour for Lena here.
Yeah.
Tiny pour for her.
So, Colin, I'm not sure of the award ceremony in San Francisco or how recent, but it apparently had a gold medal there. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what you're saying. Which is really interesting. It means it's obviously decent quality. I did read a review on it just today, and they seem to give it some not bad feedback. But I usually don't like to think about those too much ahead of time. I just like to sort of not really know what to expect and just sort of let myself enjoy it, right? So,
All right. You
all
lead
right,
the
well,
way and I'll shadow you because you're the expert.
okay.
Ready?
Here's okay. I'm gonna just take a quick smell of it here first too. Definitely smell. Yeah.
Either it's my smoking or I'm clogged up. It's not overpowering or anything. It's fairly
I'm getting kind of it does smell a little bit young. Like there's sort of a smell that I've started to pick up for a little bit younger whiskey. Um, Sort of got that weedy kind of almost a weedy kind of mix of wheat and gasoline.
weed. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, you ready?
But yeah, let's have a sip. Let's see what we think. Mm.
Sweet coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's smooth, but it's not as light as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's actually I'm not minding the texture. The texture is a little bit because one reviewer read it came in kind of light and thin, I thought he said, but I'm not really getting a thin texture. Like if it's too thin, I don't always like that. This has got a thick enough viscosity, that I like that. But it's got kind of a bit of a light honey,
Yeah,
maybe caramel,
yeah.
maybe a touch of cinnamon, maybe almost, or kind of a cookie wafer, thing going, graham cracker cookie wafer kind of thing going on.
I'm getting a faint whiff of hockey tape and fresh ice around the goalposts.
Hockey tape and fresh ice.
For a province with 2 NHL teams.
No, hey, yeah, that's an excellent tasting note.
Mm-hmm.
Wipe out and get a little bit of the the snow in the mouth, you know, and kind of just the hint of the paint from the post, you know.
So what do you think? Does the second sip reveal more of the nature?
Yeah, it's kind of a, you know, it's got a little bit of a peppery finish too. So it's got a little bit of a nice balance actually between light honey kind of graham cracker mixed with a thick enough viscosity that it kind of coats your mouth in a good way, but kind of a bit of a black pepper kind of finish. So a little bit of heat and pepperness on the back end, which gives it almost a little bit of an oakiness to it, which I like. Yeah, overall a nice experience. There's nothing. Certainly settle into it and enjoy it.
Say a little bit longer tongue or finish than your Crown Royal or something like that, you know.
Sure.
Or CC.
Right.
Or those tastes to me kind of dissipate sooner than this lingers a bit.
Yeah, actually, I really like how it kind of, like I said before, it kind of coats the mouth, so it feels like it lasts longer. You know, the sip kind of just sticks around a little longer, which is nice. That's why I don't like it if it's too thin tasting or where it just disappears too quick. So that's actually a nice feature of this. It's almost got a bit of a, you know, too, as I'm sipping here, a little bit of a plum tardiness maybe too coming out.
Plum or hockey tape?
Well, plum hockey tape. Well, white hockey tape or black hockey tape?
Well, that's it. I'm thinking white.
White.
What are you guys even talking
Well, hey, Linda, would you like to come over and have a little ouchie Bernie?
Rona? Gonna have an ouchie Bernie with Lena?
We're just gonna have a little mini
I put
ouchie
yours on
Bernie,
ice,
Cheap
so-
Bernie.
a little ouchie Bernie reaction for the fans out there.
For the fans, okay.
The fans,
Yeah.
the tens of people.
The tens of people that
tens
watch
of
the
people.
channel. That's
The
right.
tens of
Alright.
people?
And
Okay,
here's
so-
my beautiful PA Rona is
That's
gonna
great.
join Lena in the ouchie Bernie scale.
Okay, I'm doing mine with the ice.
Yep, that's good.
Sounds delicious.
Does have a sweet smell to it.
Hmm.
Yep.
Actually, it's low on the Ouchie Bernie scale because it's sweet. I'd say it's like
Yeah.
a 2, right? It's not.
A 2 on the smell. Have you
On the
tasted?
Ouchie Bernie
Yeah,
scale.
that's
On
it.
the
Eh?
taste,
Yeah.
right? I think you tasted it already. Yeah, it's very caramelly. I
Yeah.
like it.
Mm.
Yeah, and not too ouchy Bernie. I'd give it.
Yeah.
What is it like? Is it 40%?
Yeah, I gave it a 2 on the Ouchie Bernie scale.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty
'cause-
low.
Yeah, I know, because it's not like yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's very low.
It's got a nice
Mhm.
mouth feel because it stays
Yeah.
in there. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
I
I'm
like,
saying.
I
eh?
like
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Eating the
Yeah,
caramel.
it coats the mouth well, you know, and that's to me is always a very key component of a whiskey. Like if it coats the mouth well, and
Yeah.
I really enjoy that a lot more than whiskeys that don't do that.
Yeah. And it's just the right amount of heat because it stays in there. So
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt too much.
Well,
it's kind of a
actually,
relaxing pepper finish. isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Pepper is a good
Black pepper. Yeah,
way to
Yeah.
describe it at the
Yeah.
end.
yeah.
actually straight, it's about a 5-6 on the Ouchie Bernie scale because
Is it?
oh, with
It is
with
40.
the ice, I gave it a 2, but straight up,
Yeah,
No, no.
which makes sense. What do you give it on the Ouchie Bernie scale? Because she had it
A
straight.
5. I'll
5?
give it a 5. Yes.
Hmm.
But
5,
it's got
6.
that Kentucky hug thing, like it's
Mhm.
staying in there, which
That's-
is nice,
that's
which I like.
Uh,
That's a good pick, Gil.
yes, thank you, Miss Hawk Hack.
Miss
No, I
Hawk
forgot.
Hack.
I was stumbling. I'm always, afraid to confront authority like a teacher.
Uh-huh. He's forgotten his question.
Anyways, yeah, sure.
How come you guys are fading in and out?
Oh,
What's happening there?
because I don't know, for whatever reason, I have this problem when I have work meetings. We like the teams are, I think our teams, it always wants to blur us, the people. Yeah, and then so actually,
We, the
It's on some
people.
sort of setting that, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and then
It's
so they
like it's supposed to
say,
blur out the background,
The
but
background.
it keeps blurring out
Blurring.
Gil sometimes.
oh, and then they told me like get closer to the camera.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Because like
work.
Gil,
really.
Gil's gone right
Oh.
now. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
That's me blurring out personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's
we
like
could
if
have-
you move too much, it blurs and then it focuses again. Like it's
Oh.
it's
Yeah.
having
I
a
know.
hard time with
We
the
could,
movement.
in bad weather and inclement weather and smoke days and things, we could have a party like this and then play cards and you could just tell us what
Oh.
you have and
Really? No, I will
Yeah,
not do
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I actually used to.
Yeah,
go
no.
with it.
I
I
just
actually
find
used to
teams.
enjoy the because I used to always have Zoom calls with my friends over COVID.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was
Oh.
kind of fun because it was very convenient. You don't have to be logistically do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd
Yeah.
sit there and hang out for 3 or 4 hours and 4 or 5 of us would be on there sometimes
Mm-hmm.
for 4 or 5 hours. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
I don't like it because not more than one person can talk at the same time. Because if you start talking right now, Lena, sometimes, when normal conversation, more than one person talks and stuff like that, then you can't hear what the other person is saying. And then everybody's like, then all of a sudden silent for a while. So,
Really? We can't talk at the same time? We can
no,
talk at
because
the
now
same
if I
time,
start
we can.
talking, right, then you can't hear what I'm saying.
No, I heard her the whole time.
Yeah,
They will
just-
both talk at the same
There's not
time.
much
Okay,
of a delay.
all right.
Yeah,
We
blah, blah, blah,
We can
blah,
all
blah,
But
blah.
talk
then
at the same
if there's
time
a-
now.
Okay. Well, I know like when we
It's like
have
a
our,
regular conversation.
because I know at work, if more than one person talks and stuff. Oh, I know what it is. Because at work, we don't have it's just our pictures. Nobody shows their pictures and stuff. And then if more than one person talks, then it's like,
Yeah.
then everybody stops talking, kind of thing.
I'm gonna taste some aromas that's been sitting in ice for the last
Yeah.
3 to 4 minutes.
That's
Yeah.
mild. That's 2 on the Ouchie Bernie, if that. But straight up, about a 5 or 6, I think. Oh, and then look at from the side view, I've got a flat head.
Actually, after it's been in ice cold water a bit, it's actually almost sweeter. If that's possible.
Hmm.
I already find it sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, straight.
But he's saying
Yeah.
he tried it straight to start. So you put it on
Oh.
ice and it tastes even sweeter for some strange reason.
Mm.
Or sometimes can happen.
Or maybe
You
it's because the alcohol taste or the slightly heavier taste of alcohol is sweetened with water, relaxed. A relaxed taste.
Yeah, because this has got kind of a little bit of a, how rum can sometimes have a bit of a plum taste to it.
Right?
This has got a bit of that going on.
Mhm.
Plump?
Yeah,
Plum.
plum. Yeah, plum.
Oh, I said plump.
But what does plump taste like?
That's big fat whiskey.
Is rye supposed to be sweeter than regular whiskey? What's regular whiskey made out of?
Wheat, barley, and rye is just a certain kind of grain, which is usually a little bit more peppery, like that black pepper you're getting.
Oh.
That's definitely it's a rye quality. And the rye almost sometimes will taste a little bit like to me like Bubblicious bubble gum. It's got a little bit of that going on with rye a lot of the time. Like if you go with 100% rye, it'll kind of have bubble gummy, almost sometimes a little bit tarty, like dark berries almost seems to come out in a weird way. But also it's a little bit more oaky. A lot of times it's a little more oaky and kind of peppery, Yeah. But then this isn't just 100% rye or anything. I think there's certainly, because what happens in Canada is they'll call something a rye. It just sometimes mean just sort of just means it's a whiskey that has some rye in it, but it's not necessarily 100% rye.
It's a swill.
So exactly what the mash bill is, who knows? Sometimes in Canada they'll just kind of synonymously call things rye when it's whiskey, but it's not necessarily a high rye. So yeah, we'd have to research what the mash
Doesn't
bill
really
is.
say, does it?
No,
Yeah.
no.
The swill.
Good pick.
Yeah, good pick, yo.
Yes.
Well, like I say, it was totally accidental. Somehow or other, it came up on Facebook, and I just I was trying to think of something for Father's Day, and I thought, well, a gold medal local whiskey. We'll try it. See.
Yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with that.
You know.
This
How do you take the background off what it's
Oh, the
doing?
blur?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. But actually, I've
Can you
tried a
disable
couple times.
that?
I know, but like actually when I go to like more and then I go to effects and avatars on ours, and I have none selected, but it still blurs it.
Well, select one. That bottom one was.
Well, okay, no, okay. So this is like if I apply something and then it turns off the camera. And then so if I pick one of these things and then apply it, then we have that. And then, but then see, then he disappears. You have to be right in
still
front.
blurry. Yeah.
Yeah, and then,
But you
but
can't
it-
seem to remove it completely.
Yeah.
Oh, because right now are we in one of these?
Yeah, we're in one.
Now we're something in Greece or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening here.
But yeah, it seems to like just digitizes Gil right out of there. It's weird.
Oh, now we can't hear it.
Oh, we lost your volume. Sorry, you go.
Oh, now we can hear you. Oh, now we can't.
it's our teams.
Now we
If
can hear you.
there's- I know, it's something to do with our installation of
How come they
Teams,
have,
a background. Oh, because Linda applied a background on hers, and then, but I have none on ours, even though it's still blurred. Like, that's just the way Earl has it configured, right? And
no names?
oh, yeah, no names, but that's just how it's configured, and there's nothing I can do. And they say things like, update your drivers and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, that's not what it is, because it's an integrated camera, and all of the updates are done automatically. So there's nothing to update because everything is updated. Then I go to the Lenovo Vantage, which is like this program that makes sure all of your, like the BIOS is updated and stuff. And actually I thought it might have been my what is that thing called? Like, the thing that connects all of your monitors and stuff like that, the docking station, but it's not on a docking station right now. So at least we're not blurred, because usually when I'm on Teams meetings, I'm always blurred. And then the background sometimes is blurred, sometimes it's not blurred. So
How old is your laptop?
less than a year old. It's brand
Oh,
new.
so it's not that, eh? Okay.
No,
Okay.
yeah. No, so it's something to do with Teams. It's just like my phone. Like whenever I put any kind of contact in my phone, I always have to reset my account before it puts it into my contacts.
All
So
right
it's a
now.
feature.
Okay, a little less you, more me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, what are you doing with the 3 different snifters?
Well,
Were you
Linda
gonna
had
try?
this one here,
Oh, okay,
and this was mine, and nothing's happened in this one yet. So
okay. I thought maybe you had vodka in that one as a
no,
chaser.
no, this one's empty. This one's empty here.
Okay, I thought maybe you're gonna, yeah, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I could put something that's similar to this beside it and do a little back and forth kind of flight.
What do you think is similar? in Canadian whiskeys.
Yeah,
You like-
there's something that's quite similar. I'm gonna go grab it and bring it up. I forget the name of it offhand because I bought it about a year ago, but it won some awards in Canada as well, and it's quite similar.
to be closer.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
All
Something
right.
very similar.
Okay.
I'm gonna play with filters then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Put us in some.
Oh, you got a
different-
pretty nice one right now with a green and orange
The-
couch and
Yeah.
ocean view.
I don't
Wow.
know. I always think it's kind of like.
I wish I had a
crazy.
sunroom like that.
Well, here, we'll get you a sunroom similar. Well,
Guitar and reading
yeah.
only.
okay, well, you can
That
have.
one. That one's pretty
Mhm.
fancy.
Now, if we could
Or
find a
put
suite like that somewhere,
Well,
That
'cause
would be cool.
normally, oh, actually, might see my normal backgrounds are gone now too, because I have one that is like of a living room kind of thing that I downloaded, and that's the one I normally use. But look at see, Gil's gone.
Ooh.
He's left.
Yeah, like it doesn't like Gil at
know.
all. It seems to
Yeah, yeah.
just wipe him out of there.
maybe.
So weird.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? It used to work with my old laptop too. It's something that's like it is a feature, we'll just call it. But yeah, right now filters is I have no filters. Hey, that's like the pink sky.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's
You
like
pick
pink
something really girly
styles.
just for
Yeah.
Colin's benefit.
That's not girly enough.
Frames. Green screen settings. Uh-oh.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Preview automatically. Well, I don't need a green screen though. See, this is the way it's supposed to look, right? That, like that, but it doesn't do that. I'm going to take off soft focus, maybe. I don't know if that helps or not.
Oh, look at this background we have now. It's
Let's
very
see.
flowery.
Yeah,
Oh, the
trying to
pink.
pick a girly one for you.
Can you see that bottle?
Stock,
So this is
bottle
blurring out, huh?
disappeared.
Yep.
It disappeared.
It disappeared. How about if I put it right by my face?
Better. What's it called?
Anyways, this is called the Stock and Barrel Canadian Whiskey, 43%. And it won some awards as well. It reminds me a lot of what we're having here. And then another one is Gooderham and Worts, is also Canadian whiskey.
Seems very
And it
popular.
reminds me a little bit of this as well. So those are a
Yeah.
couple good Canadian examples that are kind of similar. So yeah, I'm gonna pour the Gooderham and Worts because I like it better.
That's right. Now the hard
Hey.
part is like, can you pour us some?
Yes, I can.
What do you have there?
Just
You, you
just this.
oh, you can
Just a little one. See, and I
It's
thought
not
Gil
you,
just
right?
got up and left. He was just gone.
Oh, he just disappears.
I thought you got up and left.
I'm gonna give you pours like that guy in the last winery we went to was like. The
Yes,
smallest pours
yeah.
ever,
Oh,
eh?
yeah, the
Yeah.
no ounce pours, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no ounce. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where?
When we're at the winery.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the Mr. No Ounce pours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Gil's rye whiskey better
Mm,
for sure. Because
Mm.
that one's like got a nice sweet caramel taste to it. This one's a little bit too late.
Too late.
Mhm.
Too
Yeah,
light.
you're right. It doesn't have the same viscosity. And this is well respected. Gooderham Awards, very well respected as far as I know.
Yeah.
But it's thinner. It's thinner, isn't it?
Yeah.
One note but hotter. Is
Hotter.
it like 42%? What is it at?
Let me check.
45%.
Oh, so it's higher octane.
Yeah, higher octane.
Mhm.
Well, upon I don't know what third or fourth taste, I'm getting more of the sort of caramel sweetness. I guess. Tastes sweeter than initially it did.
But like, yeah, a third of the bottle way through, everything always tastes better,
You're
right?
already a third of the way through. Whoa.
Wow. Look at, well, this is where, you can't see the bottle, let's see.
Well, actually, you
yeah.
guys are
Oh,
pretty
you guys
low.
are ahead of us.
You are ahead of us because we're only here.
Okay, yeah, because we're here. Oh, so you
Good job.
can't see the crazy bottle.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
we
gonna-
can see it for a second there. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to turn off the background. Yeah, that's the problem with technology. It's fantastic when it works, not so great when.
I'll probably have to show you how to do this later.
That's right, yeah.
That's
You'll have to
right.
show- Yeah.
The true IT department will have to.
That's right.
He's the SME, the subject matter expert.
See, you just disappeared, Letta. Look
Did
at,
I?
I'm,
Oh, yeah.
like you're just
yeah,
gone.
there you go. Oh, yeah,
See,
there you
all of a
are.
sudden you
Oh,
just
yeah.
disappeared.
No,
See
yeah,
ya.
see? When
Well, I
you
guess
move
went off the
away.
end there.
Oh, no, yeah,
But then
actually,
see,
no.
like watching
isn't
it.
that weird?
It's like watching a music video from the 80s.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a
Yeah.
David Bowie video or something.
That's right. Yeah, because now Gil stays. Move back a little bit, see if you. Oh, see, Gil's staying now. And then the back.
Okay, now
but-
try a little 0 ounce pour of this third one that I was comparing to.
Okay.
Well, here, we'll share it because I want to taste
Oh,
it.
see, that's why we're down. We're doing the same amount of drinking, but
Oh,
they're going through different.
there
Yeah,
they have.
that's right.
Sweet.
That's right.
Okay.
That's what I
Interesting.
complain about.
Hmm.
And those are all Canadian whiskeys you're tasting?
Mhm. All Canadians.
Different.
Mm,
Different.
I don't mind it.
Kind of caramelly though, hey?
Yeah.
Kind of that.
Hmm.
Kind of graham wafer caramelly. This one does remind me quite a bit of the Stampede one.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the name of that one?
Mm.
Stock and barrel.
Stock and barrel. I
And
bought it, I
what-
think it was last Canada Day for, Canadian,
Content.
well, yeah, Canadian content reasons. And it's also won a gold. It won the Canadian Whiskey Awards.
They must have a lot of medals out there.
In 2017, the Artisanal Distillery of the Year. It's the red blend. It's handmade Canadian whiskey, stock and barrel.
Oh,
And it
we
says,
must-
it
Go
says
ahead.
our,
I get like a woody taste from it.
So
okay,
it's from an oak barrel, or are they all from oak barrels?
yeah, pretty much all from oak barrels, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Does it
But
matter?
some will
like-
have a more oakiness to them and the taste, or, depends how long they've obviously sat in barrels, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the older, as a general rule, the older, the maybe better, but see, this one says this wonderful earthy expression is created by using a high percentage of our aged single malt and rye, blended together with selected casks of aged corn. This extraordinary smooth yet complex mix of sweet malt and plump Canadian rye is imbued with intense flavors, richness, and full body. So,
I was right.
yeah.
Fat lady whiskey.
Hey, I'm going to bed.
You're going
Oh.
to bed? Okay.
We just
Good
lost Lena for
night.
real this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
fun.
Colin, does it matter that,
I'm gonna let you two chit chat, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna go get ready for bed too. Okay.
All right.
Good night.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.
does it matter, I mean, the Stampede is a small batch whiskey,
Mhm.
small batch whiskey, meaning so limited amount of barrels or 20 barrels or something or.
Right, yeah, and usually a lot of times, because like let's say bigger producers, what they'll do, right, is but from my general understanding, is they'll try to almost standardize bigger batches, more and more barrels. I think they try to standardize it so it all kind of tastes the same. Where you look at small batch, yeah, it's more like it might just be a smaller segment that they don't try to make exactly the same as the other small batch segments, right? So it's a little bit more unique sometimes, these small batch options.
Well, so it's holding up not bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like that one reviewer kind of said that he thought it was a step up above Crown Royal, or I think he even said Canadian Club. It's just his preference. It was a step up from some of those, common popular Canadian whiskeys that everyone knows. He was saying, "No, this is a little bit up on that." He thought. So, yeah, no, it's got a nice, really nice viscosity to it. Like even Linda picked that up right away, right? She said, "Oh yeah, it's kind of got a nice." I do like that.
Kind of an old-timey bottle with the bulbous neck on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Won't be
Mhm.
able to cut off that for any slide or anything like that.
Yeah, too thick, eh?
Well, too bulbous if it was straight.
Right.
Got to be straight and without a seal. A seam without a seam.
Right.
This one, does this have a seam? Very faint. It's got a seam on some of the other bottles. I don't know if it's to do with the solidity of the glass or anything, but seamless bottles with a straight neck make for way better for slide guitar and things like that.
Right. Gotcha. But yeah, no, that's kind of a classic looking bottle though, eh? Like it's
Yeah,
kind
it
of got a
looks
nice
very.
dark. The other thing I like about this, kind of nice dark color, which
Yeah, I was wondering about that when I was picking up. I couldn't tell if it was. I thought it was a little darker than normal, than like Crown
yeah,
Royal or CC or something like that.
it might be. It might be a little darker than normal,
It's cowboy movie dark.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Pour a whiskey in a cowboy movie, it's dark like this, kind of bourbon colored almost.
Well, that's exactly right.
I guess. Now I'm new to this tasting live, so
Yep.
Okay, and say hi to Colin too.
this is Lois coming here.
Okay.
Thank you,
Hey.
Andrew. We're
Yeah.
tasting some Father's Day
Can you see
Stampede whiskey.
That's right. Hey, Andrew.
What are you doing? Happy Father's Day to you.
That's right.
As a good father should.
Good boy. Okay.
Where's your beautiful daughter?
That's right. They're whiskey drinking? Yeah, I'm gonna
right.
take you.
You,
Well, actually, we just got back from the horse race.
yeah, what are you gonna do? So does it help? I mean, with those whiskey snifters
Mhm.
or funnels or
Mhm.
however you call them, it gives you a better, so what does it do? Concentrate the fumes up into your
That's
nose?
exactly right. Yeah, like exactly. They're designed that way. And so, yeah, exactly. The fumes are just kind of concentrated up and the smell is way more,
Well, that was sort of the original.
concentrated. And, and I think so it helps with the taste as well because it just sort of, that's the way they're designed.
The original idea behind the sort of brandy snifter.
That's
right?
right. That's right.
So you could sniff your brandy and then.
Yeah, no, this is, you bought this for me. Thank you very much. This is
Recomendo, baby.
This is excellent. Like I love the look of the wood and like it sits perfectly. And I like how you can pour in here and there's a nice amount in there and these glasses are amazing. They're really great.
That's what they're made for, right?
Yep, that's right.
So among the three whiskeys you just tried, once again, Stampede,
That's right.
And what are the other two?
So yeah, I'll kind of line them up here. We got Stampede is this one on the left. Then I've got I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is Gooderham, or sorry, this is Gooderham and Warts is in the middle. This guy here. And then the stock and barrel is the one on the left. So
And so you have to refresh yourself, or you kind of remember the.
yeah, no, I kind of more or less remember it like this. Although I just take another quick little sip of this Gooderham Wort. I do really like this Gooderham Wort quite a bit. It's a little bit more earthy.
Now, Lena said she preferred the Stampede over the Gooderham wort.
Yeah, she did. And
Uh,
yeah,
was
the
that
Gooderham Wort, where it's definitely a little bit thinner than this one. The one thing that stands out with this one is it's got a decent viscosity, like I've been saying. I really like that. The Gooderham Wort, it's kind of got a nice, maybe got a little bit more of a, the flavors, maybe a little bit more, a little more flavorful, maybe. That's what this brings. This is sort of a nice balance. It's balanced. It's got a little bit of everything. It tastes to me a little bit like a combination of these two. You know, I guess that's why I thought of these two. That's why I brought them up, because all Canadian whiskeys, you kind of get that Canadian classic rye or taste to it. They're all, to me, all kind of comparable. A little bit of plum, a little bit of caramel, a little bit of, like Canadian whiskeys or Canadian rye's got that little bit of almost a bitter face aftertaste. Like kind of like, you know. So yeah, so they're all good. I enjoy them all.
Now, the only thing, why do you think it is, in your experience, that the Stampede whiskey doesn't mention, how on some bottles it says this is a 8-year-old whiskey, this is a 12-year-old whiskey. And I see number 17 on the Gooderham one. Is that years old or aged? Or?
Actually, this one, it's I believe it's oh yeah, this is 17. Yeah, this is 17 years. Oh my God.
So then, in your
That's
opinion,
crazy.
the Stampede Canadian Rye Whiskey, this is just almost 0 years.
It smells young to me. It's usually not going to be 0 years. I mean, we'd have to do a little research, but if I had to guess, it's probably 2 to 5 years old, maybe. Be my guess, maybe this guy.
I don't see anything anywhere about aged in casks or.
And usually, if it doesn't say anything on the bottle about age, it means it's young. I mean, because like if it's a little bit older, they're going to want to brag about it. If it's 6 years old, even they're going to say 6 years old.
Right.
Anything less than that, they might not put it on the bottle. But yeah, wow, 17 years, 3 grains, 17 years. That is interesting. You don't see that too often with, non-scotches, non-scotch whiskeys. You don't see it, like you'll see some age statements with bourbons and whatnot, but there's a lot of times it's 6 to, I don't know, 6 to 9 years you might see on a bourbon.
Well,
You
quite
don't see something.
possibly. I mean, Eau Claire Distillery, I don't, it doesn't strike me as familiar from years and years. It's so I mean, if they're building their facilities and everything, maybe I doubt if they've had the physical capability of actually creating any stored whiskey longer than 2 or 5 years,
Yeah, like I would say with this Calgary Stampede one, I'd say that the very first 15% of the sip, you get that kind of young tasting, which you get with a lot of young tasting whiskey. But as soon as you get past that first 15%, it's very good. Like to me, like it's very pleasurable, caramel, Good viscosity, good black pepper at the very end, and very enjoyable. Very enjoyable. It's really quite good.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know you're usually a straight whiskey drinker. Sometimes you have ice,
Mm-hmm.
not that often. Would you recommend to the casual whiskey drinker? Well, I guess there's no recommendation because everybody's different. I mean, would you say delicious over ice, a touch of water, no ice, straight up?
You know, I've got some ice here. I haven't tried this one on ice yet. I'm going to throw some ice in the glass right now as we
Well, I
speak.
happen to have some ice right here too.
Okay,
Put the rest of
perfect.
mine in there. It's been melting for a bit.
And I actually have been drinking most of my whiskey with ice this last few months, last while, and experimenting with some different with ice, which I'm kind of
Well, I
enjoying
kind
it.
of like that. I kind of like that.
So do I. So do I.
No, I just
Uh,
had a taste and I kind of like it that way.
Okay, I'm
With a
gonna
few whiskeys. Some of them it's hard to get yeah, because it definitely changes the whole.
the whole flavor profile changes
Yeah.
for sure.
But what I'm getting is I'm still getting a nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I would have this in a tumbler of ice,
Yeah.
half a tumbler of ice, or a double shot in there.
Oh yeah, it's kind of gives it a little bit of a it works really well with ice. I gotta say, it works really well.
Yeah.
It lightens it up.
Yeah,
But
lightens it up, but I mean, it's not like you're losing a lot of taste. You're losing a couple of aspects maybe,
right.
but it's not like watered down whiskey.
No. Yeah, actually, you got to think like with at 40% too, it's got a fair bit of flavor, a fair bit of character at 40%. Sometimes whiskeys at 40% is usually the lowest you'll get, alcohol percentage of whiskeys, and it can kind of lose a little bit of character.
Well, I
Compared to a
guess
40, compared to 43, 45, 46, or 50,
yeah,
right? But this has got some pretty good character at 40, generally speaking. And it holds up really nice with ice too.
I guess the grand test will be the shelf life in the bar.
Well, actually, that is the ultimate test because, good point. Like, because with this one, well, I bought it. I think it was last Canada Day or the Canada Day before. Look at how much is still left.
Yeah.
That's not a good indictment. That's not a good indictment. This one, I probably bought. I think I did a whiskey video on this one, whiskey column video on this one, probably maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But look at, there's not much left, right? So I think I worked through this pretty quick, and then sometimes you don't want to
Well,
let a
2 or
bottle
3.
go.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But yeah, good point. How long does this one stay
Well, I guess we'll see.
stay full?
This is June 17th.
That's right, June 17th,
Start of the
2023. Yeah,
pretty much almost sort of the start of Canadian summer,
that's right.
which starts off with lots of construction and kind of cold, hot, cold, hot.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see by end of August. It might even be a good barbecue whiskey. Where it's
Yes,
not, where it's nice to have on ice or with a little water, and you can still enjoy a nice barbecue in the afternoon and still be ticking in the evening for the fire.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of, yeah, it's mild enough that, yeah, like, I do have a huge appreciation for Canadian whiskey. Sometimes got to go back to it more often and just sort of enjoy it because Canada's got a really good whiskey making tradition, right? It's a whole category, Canadian whiskey. It's a whole category.
Yeah.
And I love enjoying it, It's definitely this is a pretty good one.
Well, it's before you were doing all your tasting, it never occurred to me rye whiskey and the USA never synced in my mind. It was always their bourbon or some of their
Mm,
their bourbons, you know.
mm, mm.
Jack
Well, yeah,
Daniel.
so like, yeah, the bourbons that have to be at least 51% corn, right? To be considered a bourbon. So the bourbons tend to have that corn sweetness. But then almost all bourbons have some rye in them, right? Like it might be 10% rye, it might be 30% rye, right? Um, but but then you've got the whole category out there, like lot 40 is a Canadian rye that's 100% rye grain, right? And that's a really nice rye, but it's 100% rye. But a lot of times in Canada, they call whiskey rye. They say it's rye whiskey, but there's just some rye in it. You don't know. Like it could be 20% rye, it could be 80% rye. Like you don't know. So that, well, unless you look it up and do the research. So there's some different interesting categories out there. But Canada, I find Canadian whiskey definitely has its own flavor, its own, you know,
So you were telling me that all scotches have to be made in Scotland.
that's right.
So even stuff like Johnny Walker and Cutty Sark, because
Yep.
I thought those were American, or the Americans buy it and bottle it, or
Well,
buy it, bottle and age it, or
my understanding, this is
authorize
my,
a blend to get their flavor.
yeah, I think what Johnny Walker is, right. It's just a mix of finished scotches. So they've taken and then they have different versions of those mixes that which make their different ones. So they literally like taking a Glenfiddich, I'm trying to remember what's all in them, but uh, or like Kalali, um, maybe a little bit of Ardbeg, maybe a little bit like whatever. So they're just looking at all different finished scotches, and they come up with their own recipe, kind of like the affinity bottles that we've been working on sometimes, right? They've come up with the perfect infinity bottle or a good infinity bottle, and then they say this is Johnny Walker Black, right? Or this is Johnny Walker Red, or this is Johnny Walker whatever. So that's my understanding. It's just they've come up with a recipe of different finished scotches that work.
Okay.
So there's a whole category of blended scotches, right? There's a lot of them out there, and they're all really good. Because it's all really good finished scotches, and you mix them a certain way, and they're fantastic. So. Um, but yeah, but in order to be called a blended Scotch, yeah, I believe it's got to be all Scotches that were made in Scotland blended together, right?
Hmm.
But then there's categories of blended bourbons where they take different finished bourbons and blend them, right?
Yeah, I don't mind. This is nice on ice.
It
Nicer for
really
me,
is.
for my personal palate.
Mm-hmm.
How's your stockpile of wood?
You know what? We still got quite a bit in the garage because from last year. And then I would have liked to maybe get a few things going this year, but all these fire bans this year.
Well, I'm just thinking, I think they lifted the fire ban in St. Albert before it started raining. Now it's been
Oh,
raining. Now it's been raining all week, and it's going to rain all next week.
you're right.
I'm thinking there might be a fire night in our future.
That
You know,
would-
not a,
actually,
not a
I've been
big,
kind of craving one. I've been kind of craving starting a fire
Yeah.
around here even, and it just
not a
seemed
big
like
deal. Just blaze some wood and have a few drinks and choke back a burnt hot dog or something like that.
Yeah,
Nothing majorly organized because we got the 15th of July coming up, and
that's right.
that'll be a major barbecue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to burn some wood, and I'm going to double check on that because they had some idea of licensed fires, and then when I looked it up on the city website, they were saying basically, yes, you can have fires as long as they're in a controlled, not close to the house, not close to anything, free from this, and you got to have water ready, and as long as it's in a regulation fire pit, which I don't know what they mean. Because there's fire pits you dig in the earth with bricks and stone and mortar and stuff, and then there's
Yeah.
the metal ones like we have that are portable.
Yeah.
And then they were saying they stopped. People were during COVID were dragging their fire pits out in their driveways and having sort of a fire in their driveway, and people would just sort of stop by and stand 10 feet away and chat and chit chat and things like that.
Yeah.
And they said they're allowing that again. So it's a little, no fires, but you can have these fires. But you need a license, except not for these. But I still don't quite understand. Because
That's
all
weird.
up to this, all the years we've lived here, I've never had a permit. And we've always had fires, so I have no idea anymore.
Well, yeah. Well, I think obviously it just seemed to be with all these forest fires in Alberta, that's very sensitive kind of topic, or they had all the fire bans just flat out. But then,
Well, I think St. Albert might be damp enough these days and over
yeah. To your point now, like I mean, I don't know. It's been raining a lot lately. It's actually supposed to rain for about 4 or 5 days straight coming up again.
Well, it rained all
So I think
day.
by next weekend, it's got to be like, yeah, like I mean, it's gonna be pretty damp.
Well, it rained all day while we were at the track
Yeah.
out here, and it's
It's
going to rain
supposed to rain
tonight.
all night tonight, all day tomorrow, and for about 4 more days here. Like it's
Yeah.
supposed to rain,
Yeah,
which is good,
so,
which is really good.
Yeah, I'm tempted. I might even by midweek even just pull that out and burn some wood and sit there and stare at it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Smoke out one of my guitars.
Yeah, there's a couple times I thought to myself, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind just starting a fire out in our yard here and just relaxing. And I thought, oh no, I can't. I'm not allowed to, you know. So that's
Well,
but because we do have a lot of wood still here. So
it was dusty dry, but I think over the last week and with the upcoming week, I don't see how that could be a problem.
yeah, you know, you're right. You're right. I think they probably will just not have a fire ban or lift it, or if it's not already lifted. And then yeah, we can definitely
I think I was surprised to see even before it started raining that I thought it said they lifted it with restrictions. Of course, like any city council, they like to keep everything vague in case there's a chance they can make some money off you. So,
well, of course.
you know,
Yeah.
pull up with 5 fire trucks and 3 cop cars and what are you doing back here? Family fire? It'll be $500.
Right. Yeah,
Well,
and I guess they could smell it a mile away if it was an issue, but yeah, no, actually, I think by next weekend or hopefully by July 15th there. Well, yeah, because yeah, well, July 15th is a ways away still.
if I get
But,
really, I might just phone and say, okay, this is what I have.
What's the deal? Yeah,
What's the deal, buddy?
that's probably a smart thing to do, or
I
just
think
get
so.
some clarity.
Yeah. So, okay, well, interesting. I wonder what John thinks of this stuff.
Yeah,
He's not a huge rye fan, though. I don't think, is he?
is that
He
what he
likes
said?
this. Well, no, but I mean, uh, all the times at your place and stuff, it seems he sort of prefers the peated scotch and the,
He likes the peated, yeah, you're right, He does
know,
like the
little-
peated scotch.
the little.
He likes tequila as well. You know, we should have included him on this invite. We could have 3 of us tasting this.
Well,
Didn't think of it.
it's not like I know this technology
Yeah,
at
I didn't
all.
think of it. Didn't think of it.
Yeah, I like this on ice.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, I put some ice in this one here, and it's nice.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Up till now, it's yeah. Yeah, I think it was I don't know what it was, a year or two ago when so I was trying to think of what we used to try in the past and if it held up to anything that was current. And when I brought over some Crown Royal and John was less than enthusiastic and even I tasted and was going, it's not the Crown Royal I remember. Not when I compare it to everything that's available today.
Right. There's so much variety today, you know, it's unbelievable, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think the whiskey kind of took off in the last 10 years or so, let's say, and the variety, just like craft beer kind of did as well, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And it's just the variety, you know, and I guess wine has always had an incredible amount of variety. So yeah, you have these different kind of things that pick up, and like, yeah, the variety is unbelievable. With like I got in whiskey a few years ago, and I there's no way I could ever keep up anymore. Like, it's limitless the amount of variety to try. It's literally limitless. Like
Yeah.
one human being cannot do it, you know.
Yeah, and besides everything you're buying internationally and nationally and provincially, every other province and state has their local stuff that you probably can't get, because, like the stuff you see at the farmer's market or that's a local distillery like Eau Claire. What do they have in Ontario? What do they have in Montreal? What do they have in Vancouver? Somebody who's like 50 miles out of Vancouver, but he doesn't make enough to ship it worldwide, or well, not that easily,
Yeah,
Like
no,
when
absolutely.
we bought this stuff, we asked at Wine and Beyond, sorry, I'm mentioning their name, and they, on their computer, they showed they had none in any of their stores. And so I was kind of miffed, but I went, always double check, because I find in modern age, nobody really knows.
That's right.
The people depend on their computer. The computer depends upon human input. And so right away, there's errors everywhere. So I'm walking down the whiskey aisle, saw this, 7 bottles on the shelf. So
There's
people out
probably
there,
in that back section, there's a whole that Canadian whiskey back section, right? Like, you know, you've got
Yeah.
in Wine and
Yep.
Beyond there. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Just on the other side of it is like Mickey's.
Right. Yes. I know exactly what you're talking
And
about.
there it was. And always check. You can ask, but it's better to check because,
Yeah, that's interesting that their system is that out of whack, you know. But
well,
yeah, these
also,
things aren't that simple. Again, it's IT, right? There's always something that goes slightly wrong with IT, right?
well, it's IT and it's, I mean, today's labor force is, people get jobs, not that they're interested in where they're working so much. It's a stopgap thing. And so, that their computer is their sort of handicapper, and that's it. I mean, they don't consciously going around thinking, I've got to check the shelves. I've got to do this. I know exactly where this is. I know this thing here. And geez, there's a case in the back storage room. I think I'll get that out. They're not thinking any of that.
Well, and the size of Wine and Beyond is incredible.
It is. I mean,
nobody would ever be able to do that.
It's not like one of those small stores, like
no.
in a strip mall or something like that. You're right. They do have a ton of stuff. but they probably do have everything. They only know that. Yeah. Anyway,
Well, see, yeah, because what happens, like we have a lot of inventory. This is probably really fascinating for the people watching if we ever do post this, but
well, you can edit. You can edit.
oh, that's true, that's true. But no, but yeah, what I'm gonna say is probably not fascinating because but we have a lot of inventory control stuff at my work, and a lot of it is just garbage in, garbage out, right? So like everything that comes into Wine and Beyond, for example, is probably to get into their system. It might be a barcode system of some kind, but they might have to create their own internal barcode for it to work in their system. Let's say, right? So if that is the case, if it's not the case, okay, but if it is, then you got to make sure everything's kind of like so. Probably a lot of stuff gets in and out of the building without people having the time to properly put it in their software system, which was obviously what happened because you have 7 bottles there that snuck in without getting into the inventory system, or so they're in there without it getting into the system. So for one reason or another, so it's a lot of. Anyways, that was very boring. So I'll just stop talking about inventory control at this point. That's a pretty boring topic.
Hmm.
But yeah,
you're actually not really. I mean, you appreciate and you could admire and you know what goes into a lot of rye, but you're more of a. Would you say you're more of a Scotchman or a bourbon guy? Ultimately, if you had narrow it down to even 10 favorites, would the majority be Scotch or bourbons?
Well, it's a tie between bourbons and peated Scotch for me. Non-peated Scotch, but then so it's a tie between bourbon and peated Scotch, and then a relatively close third is rye, like 100% rye type stuff, or like high rye stuff. And then after that would be probably non-peated Scotch, and then maybe Japanese whiskey,
Oh, really?
and then maybe Canadian whiskey.
Rona, are you handy? No, I have something important to ask you. Could you get me a big lump of ice, please?
Battery power, because
Oh, I don't even know. Well, I don't think we'll
Oh,
be that
okay.
much longer.
No? Okay.
Colin looks sleepy. It's not me. I mean, I think it's
Ah.
Colin.
That's right. Yeah,
I don't-
I really do like the peated Scotch. I love bourbon. So it's always a competition between peated Scotch and bourbon.
Well, I tell you, I think for me, it's always been just regular Scotch. Well, regular. I mean, something like Hagen Hague or I'd have to think a bit, but on ice, like a big
Yeah.
glass of ice with some Scotch over it and swirl it for a little bit. And that used to be a long time ago, my favorite sort of thing. And like I say, it was, look at that, trying to take the top off, it's off.
There you go, right there.
And I think because it was sweeter
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
little bit more bite, and it was sweeter. And I don't know, it was something about Scotch, not smoky stuff,
Well,
but
see,
Hagen
right.
and that sort of stuff.
Well, because non-peated Scotch to me, I'm sure a lot of people agree with this, is it's more of a fruity sweetness, right? So it's like a berry and fruity, like apple, citrus. It's like tasting a fruit sweet. When you get into the peated world, it's a whole different story. But
Yeah.
then the bourbons are more to me a brown sugar sweet, like a baking sugar sweet, baking spice, like cinnamon bun, right? Type sweet. Just different types of sweet taste. And I tend to really like that bourbon sweet way more, right? But I find peated scotch, I really like one or two, but then I can't have, multiple in a row. It becomes a little bit too much. So, with all that being said, bourbon is probably my favorite category.
Hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, what's that? Battery saver is on. Consider plugging in your device. It is plugged in. Come on. It's going to end up to be a video of some old guy farting around with his laptop. I know if I plug in something wrong and blow this up, I'll never hear the end of it. Oh, it's not the right. Oh well, I'll leave it for Roman. So is everything? Everything's quiet at your house?
Yeah. 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 Lena's gone to bed here and just chilling back and relaxing.
Yeah, I think I enjoy this a little bit better with ice.
Actually, I just poured this Gooderham Award on ice and I'm really enjoying it
Yeah.
too. Yeah. Yeah. Really nice.
Hmm.
I've been
Mhm.
enjoying whiskey on ice lately. Like that's kind of what I've been doing. And so even now when I taste whiskey straight, I'm like, oh, it's a little harsh. Because I've been doing the ice thing way more.
Yeah, I think it removes some of that harshness, and you just get the sweet and the kick.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
with on ice.
And I kind of like how you put whiskey on ice. On the first 2, 3, 4 sips, because it hasn't diluted much yet, give you that kind of sense, right? But it's running off the ice right away. But and then as the drink kind of matures and melts a little bit, it gets a little bit, it changes, right, over the course of the drink. That's kind of a nice thing, whereas if it's not on ice at all, it's going to kind of course, each sip you get a little bit more flavor and it kind of works itself through. But with ice, it's kind of a living thing, right? It's changing a little bit every sip, which
Yes.
is kind of interesting. Yeah.
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 Very true.
Yeah.
There's
Mhm.
a sound. There's a sound. Hmm. So then tomorrow, do you have some scotch at your dad's?
I'm gonna buy some for my dad for as a gift because it's kind of Father's Day and his birthday combination,
When's his birthday?
like June 4th. But then, I think they were. I'm trying to remember now. They were out of town or something. But then my mom texted the other week and said, "Oh yeah, let's have a combined celebration for your dad for Father's Day and his birthday, tomorrow, right, on the 18th or whatever it is." So
Hang
yeah,
on a
so
second. I'm getting all kinds of warnings here. Rona says it should plug in the PC. Are you there?
I am.
No. I'm talking to Colin.
Oh,
Uh,
so like it's not plugged into the actual PC there.
it's not plugged into anything.
Oh, there she is. The expert has arrived.
I figured it was gonna run out of juice. Yeah. It's on this side.
Out of sad. Excuse me, my IT people have just arrived on an emergency call here.
That's right. That's right.
I
But
still think you should give that show a chance. You gotta watch about
Oh,
3 or 5 episodes.
Oh yeah, that British IT show or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? That guy, I think who's one of the main guys in that, is in that show on Apple TV that we really got into recently called The Big Door Prize. I like that guy. You know,
Oh, I've
that
never heard of that show.
yeah, it's a good show.
Sorry.
All the warnings have gone off.
Okay, let me just check one thing. Okay, so I think it says it's charging, right? Okay. Is that look like a little, okay. Let me just. Okay, yeah, battery's running low. You might want to plug in. Okay. Okay, good. It's charging. Okay, I'm going to bed.
Okay, nighty
That'd
night.
be good.
So all I
Night,
have,
Colin.
all I have to do is close
Good
the
night,
lid.
Rona.
Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to stop recording too, okay?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be the wisest. We're in and out of the.
Have a good night, folks. If you're watching this and we end up posting it, thanks for watching Whiskey Colin.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Ron Chan. Now, how do I? Oh, more. 1 second. IT
We'll
support.
do a better version of this sometime this summer.
Recording.
That's right. That's right.
I'll have
Stop
to
recording.
get dressed.
Okay, you guys can talk all night long. Good night.
Good night.
Because. Good night.
Good night. Thank you for today. Stuffed like a chicken now.
Oh, because the buffet.
Mm-hmm.
I only had one plate. I had nothing to
I
eat.
saw that. It was quite a plate.
Yeah, it was a pretty. Yeah, I only had one plate, but it was a huge plate. That's right. No, but I had nothing to eat before today, before the track.
No,
That's
me
all I
neither.
had today. That's all I
Yeah.
had today. So that's not bad. And I had a really good workout this morning. Like I've been having since Victoria, I just have not been able to get back on track with a workout schedule, and I've just been feeling like kind of like sleeping on the couch. I don't know what it's
Well,
been, but like finally today I had a really good workout this morning. Really good workout. So
Well, we did
get back
kind
on
of
track.
fall into a pretty easy routine there of restaurants and and pubs.
Yeah, and then for some reason, me and Lena like for 2 or 3, like we got back when we got back from Victoria. Then that next week, for one reason or another, we ended up going out for dinner after work about 3 nights in a row or something.
Oh, wow.
Because we're
Good for you.
kind of, I think, in the routine, and then we're like having like 2 beers and like lasagna every night or whatever it was, right? Or burger. And then I just couldn't get around to working out. I felt a little bit jet lagged because you kind of lose the hour. And before we went to Victoria, I was in an okay rhythm of working out in the mornings a little bit before work. And I just could not get back on that. And then we get home and have a drink after work or something. And then I didn't feel like, anyways, I feel like I'm finally getting back on track. I hope so.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I could, I mean, I started with a good amount of straight whiskey, so it's not the best, but I mean, on a regular summer night, if we were having a fire, I could see nursing a few of these on ice in front of the fire
Mm-hmm.
after you've sucked back a couple of burnt weenies to absorb it, you know?
That's right. No, actually, this is really, really quite nice. Like, and to your point, it's a Canadian summer kind of thing to do. Have some Canadian whiskey around after a barbecue on some ice in a Canadian summer when it's it's light out late. It's kind of warm in the evenings.
Yeah, when's the equinox? 21st?
I think so. Of June. Yep.
And this is already 7th
18th or
18th.
something. Yeah. So we're
18th.
right there. We're right there. This
Yeah.
basically this week here.
Equinox is, and it'll be raining.
Yeah, which kind of sucks actually.
I got a lot of wood to get rid of. Well, even if I got rid of a bunch of the maple underneath, it's kind of in sight under our plant stand. The rest is around the corner, and that's fine. But it's kind of inhibiting our plant stand operational values.
Oh,
So some of
plant
that
stand
wood,
operational values. That sounds pretty pretty what's the word I'm looking for? Litigious, you know?
yeah. So we have to make room for the architectural or the landscape development plans and forward motion of our plans pertaining to the plant stand and the yard per se. So we need an operational base point that's not cluttered with maple debris from our trimming of the maple tree in the back. I mean, there's still ample supply in the back, still lots of birch, lots of maple on the leeward side of the garage, but
Yeah.
have to clear up the plant stand. A lot of funny looking twisted scraps and stuff.
Hmm.
So it wouldn't hurt for me to burn that off anytime. And it wouldn't put a dent in any social fire activities through the summer. Still have lots left. You've got what, a lot of birch left?
Yeah, birch. Yeah, that's what we bought from Lumber Larry. Yeah.
Back
We-
from,
we-
back
we-
from
I
Lumber
got-
Larry.
Yeah, I got
Isn't-
I think we got around 2 big bags still.
Okay. Did he change his prices or anything?
I think they were about the same last year as the year before. And yeah, the first year we went through it all. But then last year we didn't quite go through it all, or we went through about half of it for one reason or another. And then I was thinking this year, like, oh yeah, like I was kind of looking forward to, around April, May to kind of just have one or two, but then all those fire bans started, so I couldn't really do it. But anyways, yeah, we got a good amount. And actually,
what,
we've talked before. I like mixing them. Like I love having a mix of some birch, some some maple, some oak, and kind of like throwing like it's almost like blending whiskeys. It's an art to it, I think, right? And we've talked about that. Like you throw a few different ones in there at the same time. I kind of like that. Different aromas, different burning styles,
well,
different. I like
I've
that.
had a couple small piles of applewood sitting there,
Ah,
and I thought maybe we'll get a good fire going one day, whenever we do it, whenever that is. And then before we go to roasting anything, I'll throw a bunch of the applewood on the embers.
yes, yes.
See if that makes a difference in anything.
Yeah, I
Have
like that idea.
cook a couple of sausages on it or wieners or whatever.
Yeah.
See if that makes any difference. The applewood smoke compared to the maple and the birch. But applewood on top after the embers are really glowing, so that they just go, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I got a nice little pile of them for taste.
Yes.
They're not needed to start the fire or to continue it, just to throw in like you would salt or pepper, you know.
It's like a spice. It's like the fire. It's a firewood campfire spice. Yes.
That's right.
Because I really like because we were burning a whole bunch of birch a couple years ago, and then we ended up buying this a couple little small bundles of I think it was, I'm trying to remember now, I think it was maple. And I threw those on, and it was such a different burn, like it was such a dark flame, right? And the maple smell would come out. I thought it was really cool. I really,
Yeah,
really like
some of
maple.
them depends how sappy they are, I guess,
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. They can get a little bit too sappy. If it's all maple you're burning, it can get a little bit too smoky, I think, because it's just kind of like, so like then I can, okay, hang on. How about one or two birches and one or two maples and one or two, X or Y. You start kind of play around with the different varieties, or
Well, that
combinations. I
maple,
kind of like that.
we still got a lot of that maple, and that's 2 years old now, cut from the tree. So it's good, should be good and dried out.
Do you have some birch as well from Lumber
Yeah,
Larry?
I've still got at least one sack of birch, I think.
Hmm.
Or 3/4 of a sack or something.
Well, I'll trade you some birch for some maple.
That I'd really have to go and look and see what the hell. 'Cause I kind of, we haven't had a fire in so long, I'd kind of have to have a look.
Right.
I know everything under the bench is maple. And then I filled one of the empty sacks full of maple. And then we had, and then I think the rest of the remnants are birch. I really have to look. So yeah, there's a healthy mix back there, but I just couldn't tell you which is which. Till I go look.
Which is good to have a healthy mix, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole
And
point.
then, Lumber Larry, does he offer different?
That's a very good question. Like I never was really this into the different types of wood before. So a lot 2 years we ordered it. He just did birch.
Oh, speaking of woods.
So I never asked him. I should ask him. Do you have different kinds?
Speaking of woods, what did I see the other day? Oh, at was it Home Depot? Hang on, we were looking for plants, of course. We had to go plant shopping quite a few times. Yeah, I think it was Home Depot. They had fresher looking, slightly larger whiskey barrels stamped by Jack Daniels.
Okay.
They were $1.99. Tighter looking barrels. Still, and they had the warning on them. Fumes may be hazardous and so on like that. So they're not cleaned out or anything like that.
Sure.
And I haven't gone back to Canadian Tire and see if they've got any of their barrels left. I don't know which would be, the $1.99 ones at Home Depot look more attractive, kind of. They don't look as antique-y, kind of. But they're larger. They look slightly better made. Maybe it's because the ones at Canadian Tire are twice as old.
Oh, okay.
So that could be a thing where like they've had so much whiskey soaking in them for so long that.
But maybe that's better anyway.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, aesthetically, maybe because it's stamped Jack Daniels, those $200 ones. What the hell, buy one of each. No, I'd have to go back to Canadian Tire and look and see because she said, yeah, we got a bunch in the back. And so knowing me, if I was going to pick one up or we went looking at one, I'd say, okay, well, show me the ones in the back.
Actually, I was just thinking about it the other day. Actually, just thinking about it this morning because I have a perfect spot downstairs in the bar where I would love to put a whiskey barrel. Perfect spot. And yeah, so I kind of want one for the bar downstairs. So it would be interesting.
I'll pick you up one day. We'll have to look at both places.
Sure.
When's that golf?
That'd be a fun excursion.
It will be. And lunch and all that. So
Sure.
When is that golf thing next week?
I think it's the Saturday. I'll check I'll check my calendar here. I think it's the Saturday. This coming Saturday, I think.
Sounds reasonable.
The 24th, yeah, Saturday.
Okay.
This coming Saturday.
Well, it sounds more like a Saturday excursion. It could be Sunday, a Sunday.
Or you know what? We could always, I've been working a lot lately anyways. I got extra time coming. We could always like sneak away on a weekday, like, like a.
Well, I'm pretty open. You just have to name a day.
Yeah.
Because you're the guy who, has the tighter schedule. So you just have to let me know a day or two ahead of time.
Yeah.
Or not even that, just, yeah, well, so I can know what I'm doing. And
Right.
I'd come and get you and we'd go have a peek. And is there a
Yeah.
Canadian Tire close to you?
There is one up, yeah, there's one up, yeah, there's fairly close on 97th, kind of heading north.
Yeah, and we could just check, that one and the one in St. Albert and maybe if there's another Home Depot and compare them, or just compare the ones in the Canadian Tires and see if they still have them. It didn't look like they were flying out the door, which
Mm-hmm.
maybe people aren't as desperate as they used to be, or
Yeah,
weren't
yeah,
up.
because they had some at Home Depot as well, right?
Like I say, some musicians I used to know would buy those things and soak them and able to get quite a bit of
Pretty,
Ryan
yeah,
water out of that,
gotcha.
you know.
No, but there's a perfect spot downstairs where a whiskey barrel would fit perfectly into the bar, and I think it would look really cool. So,
Well, I would imagine, I mean, I got tarps and plastic in the garage. I would imagine whatever you end up with, concocting an experiment of going through with what we were talking about, but putting it on one of those tarps just in case,
oh, totally, yeah,
and then seeing what happens. And then once it's, if it works, and then you give it some time and keep tasting it every couple of days, and then you finally dump it, then you'd have to maybe let it sit somewhere with the cork off for a while,
right,
kind of dry
yeah.
it out a bit.
Yeah, let it air out before I put it in the basement. Yeah, you put it in the garage, like you say. You maybe put it in the garage for 6 months and just make sure that it's not, maybe you do the thing where you soak some water in and try to drink it, or maybe not. But yeah, let it air out so you don't bring it to the house and
Oh, come on, you gotta try that.
Okay, yeah, we gotta try that. We gotta try that.
You got
Yeah, we gotta try that. Okay, yeah. That'd be a fun little summer project.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, we can maybe do that this week or next week. We'll figure out a time.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll sneak away on like a Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, and just kind of like I'll work till 11 and then I'll just like F off for the day, and then we'll just like we'll go and do some errands, do some lunch, some errands, and get it figured out.
Yeah, I could even just swing by and pick you up at
Hmm.
the shop.
Hmm.
We'd be on our way.
Perfect. Yeah, we should do that.
Okay, that's a plan.
Yeah, that sounds a
That's
great plan.
plan number 2.
Okay.
Burning off excess wood is plan number 1.
That's
Well,
right.
there's no order. It's one of the plans.
That's right. That's right. It's one plan at a time, right? Or
Yeah.
concurrent plans,
That's right. As the occasion arises,
That's right. That's right.
whatever comes first,
That's right.
chicken or the egg. Okay, put a lid on this. Get it over here.
I'm not so sure the recording stopped. I think it's still clicking as recording.
God, I hope not. Somebody could sue us.
But we haven't said anything too crazy.
No, not yet.
Not, not yet. Just a matter of time. Just
yeah.
a matter of time. Yeah.
Oh, it's not like, not like it's 5 in the morning or anything like that.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So I've been playing a lot of stuff downstairs in the basement with some of my favorite guys. And I still can't burn through enough older stuff for some of the exercise I need, playing rhythm and then finger picking and stuff, to even start on new stuff. And I'm still trying to find newer guys, even though, I've been playing Bahamas CDs, and I had a couple snippets of some guys on YouTube, bluesier country singers and stuff, but I still, yeah. I found a few things. I'll have to either write them down and send them to you. Remember that song I played you Does my ring burn your finger?
I think I
Yeah.
remember that.
Does
yeah.
my ring burn your finger?
Yeah, I think so.
Uh, that's on an album called The Majestic Silver Strings,
Okay, yeah.
and it's sort of modern hillbilly country. It's not pop chart country or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the album, it's different, not different artists. It's the one guitar player, arranger, singer who doing it with all these pretty great players on it. But the album's called The Majestic Silver Strings.
Okay, yeah.
And that song, is that song on there? I'm not sure, but it's that guy and a bunch of pretty different guys who you wouldn't expect to be playing country music, let alone hillbilly country music. So the
Right.
production is sparse, but the instrumentation separation on the recording is quite good. So that when you hear the drums, you hear the drums. They're not overpowered by anything. Everything is separated nicely, and it's clear, and it's funky, and it's not busy. It's really, nothing's too fast. Goes along. It's quite funky. It's quite good. Stuff like that. That's what I like. Nothing too frantic,
Yeah.
unless it's bluegrass, but I can't play bluegrass, so I don't
Yeah,
listen
it's the
to
same
that.
here. I'm very, very melodic, as you can tell. I like very melodic, you know. I don't mind some rock and roll or whatever, like, a little bit of, or even like some, sometimes I'm in the mood for something fast, but generally I like something
Yeah, but
just
you grow up listening to that stuff. You're not the same person anymore,
right.
and you know what to like about that music, and you like it, and you know it for what it is. But you're not the same person, so you don't have to listen to the same music.
Mhm,
You don't have to feel
mhm,
like it.
mhm.
I saw Led Zeppelin live when they only had one album out at the Kinsman Fieldhouse, for God's sake.
Hmm.
And I loved them. I loved them. 10 years later, I didn't love them so much. Now,
Mhm, mhm.
if I hear them once a year for nostalgia's sake, it's good. But I
Mhm.
don't cry out to hear them and compare everybody to them or anything. It was a passing thing and it was really great. And they changed a bunch of stuff and it's good. But
Yeah.
it's certainly got nothing to do with what I like now.
Right, right,
Nothing.
right.
You know. And every 10 years, it's the same different changing of cycles. Something better comes
Oh,
along.
yeah.
And
Like
it's more defined and it's more in your direction and you don't have to change your focus that much.
totally,
Things are
totally.
getting into your focus, not away from them, kind of thing.
Like I had basically a decade, me and my friend Matt, growing up from about 15 to 25, who we thought U2 was just the greatest thing that ever happened to the world, right? We loved U2, right? Both of us. And that was my favorite band by a country mile. And then from about 25 to 35, it was Blue Rodeo. Like I discovered Blue
Totally.
Rodeo.
Well,
And
different.
I love them, Blue Rodeo, so much. I
Blue
couldn't
Rodeo
even think straight.
they were opposite of that. Way less bombastic
Yeah.
and less, pompous.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, 'Cause, I mean, U2 is pretty pompous,
Yeah.
pretty,
Well,
pretty,
yeah.
you know,
The,
pretty
the
theatrical.
earlier stuff, I kind of feel like the earlier stuff was more about the music, and they would like, yeah, the early stuff was just like they were just playing music, right? And then yeah, they end up getting into some that political pompous whatever, and that is a bit of a turnoff for sure, you know. But then after a while, you just kind of got, I don't know, whatever. After a while, um, but yeah, like but then Blue Rodeo is a whole different experience. It's kind of a Canadian thing going on, and kind of kind of almost yeah. So they blew my mind. And then after that, it was different, kind of like you know Radiohead definitely had that for 5 years. Like they were amazing, and like you have all these different things, and then And then just, yeah, 2 years ago, I get into War on Drugs, and like I'm just focused in on that for the last 3 or 4 years. So like, yeah, you're right. Like you get into these different, like
Well,
that's the way I work with
where
music.
did you
I dig right into it, and then eventually I focus on something else, right?
hear the Bahamas?
It was on a playlist, like iTunes has these playlists that will sometimes just play random stuff for you. And I was kind of listening to them at my condo in downtown a few years ago, and then a couple songs just grabbed me, and I'm like, oh yeah, these guys. And then I was talking to my friend Jeff about it. He's like, oh yeah, the Humans, they're great, yeah, yeah. And so then I started listening to them a little bit more here and there for like a year or two, but not super all the time, but just here and there. And that, yeah, I'm like, I like these guys, and that's why I booked that concert. But I'd never seen them live before we went either. So, um,
Oh, they're great live.
yeah, oh yeah,
Hmm. Well, I never think of it when I'm going through some of these phases and playing downstairs. And I think, oh, Colin loved us. And then I don't write it down, or I forget who the fuck I'm listening to.
right,
So I'll have to collect up a group of them and pass them on to you and see what you think, because basically it's guys who've been around for a long time, but always backing up other people
yeah,
who've either made enough money or had enough made enough of a good name where people trust them to record on their own
yeah,
without a big name, without backing up a big name. And all of a sudden
right,
they do these little band things. It's great stuff because, you spend 10, 20, 30 years backing up other people and playing immense amount of different songs at a high level of quality. And then you go off and take most of that with you. But plus you go, yeah, but no, I don't want to do that. I want to do it this way.
yeah, yeah,
And then, but they have a limited audience, so they never get heard enough. So
yeah,
if you stumble on them, it's like, all right, this is great, because otherwise it's kind of hard to
yeah,
get into them, if they're not well known. And the only time you're going to hear half those guys is on like CKUA or CBC or something.
right, of
So if you
course,
don't listen to CKUA or CBC or stream them or whatever it is, you're never going to hear them,
yeah, yeah,
unless you go to the folk fest maybe or something,
yeah, 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 yeah.
because they're little units like that. And it's, yeah. And then the bigger, commercially, successful, country guys zone in on some of that stuff, and they lift a little bit of it enough to give themselves a different kind of a sound. They steal enough to give themselves the sound of a homeboy or a good old boy or whatever. And
Yeah,
then they put their bullshit on top of it, and it's on the radio.
right,
Yeah,
right, yeah,
we
yeah,
got this
yeah,
song from this guy. And then this guy who makes these obscure little albums finally gets some money, not because if he made an album, but
yeah,
because some commercial guy lifted one of his tunes,
right,
totally
right,
rearranged it, made it more danceable
right,
and acceptable and
yeah,
chewable in the bubblegum flavor. And then the little guy gets some money for
yeah.
publishing or royalties or whatever it is. So I've got a bunch of that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of stuff I play to.
Hmm.
Because
Mhm.
I don't, it's, yeah. I still have to learn how to get current with whatever it is you're listening to. Now Rona's hooked up YouTube for me on the TV. That's a help. So I can scroll through that and pick different things.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. I'm really slow at getting to that stuff.
Well, I'm the same way. Like a lot of the stuff I'm watching, like the war on drugs I've dialed into here. A lot of the stuff is 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 years old. Like that, I'm like, so
But do
like,
you ever delve into it and go like, or look at their interviews or anything like that and say, or read their liner notes and say, who influenced you? And see where he got some
I
of
should,
that.
I should, yeah, I should.
You know, and
Yeah.
then it sometimes leads down a funny little path.
Yeah,
And
you,
it
you go backwards from there.
might
Yeah,
not
big time.
be, he might not be saying, oh, the Beatles, Bob Dylan, Rolling Stones. He could be saying a whole bunch. He could be saying Townes Van Zandt,
Yeah,
this obscure Texas writer who died from his habits when he was like 30 or something, or other guys like that, you know. And then you find those guys.
yeah,
Just like when you're listening to blues, you know, and you listen to Eric Clapton and he mentions Elmore James or Bucka White or whoever, and then you go back and listen to those guys and you go, ah, same
yeah.
as you know, war on drugs. And he goes, well, I've always listened to who? Who does he listen to? Where does he get his influence?
Totally.
Or, you know, and then you go back and listen to that and you go, oh, I see. Oh, okay. And then you read about that guy, and that guy says, oh, but I listen to these guys.
Oh,
And you
totally.
go,
Yeah, it's a
and then you go
backwards
down this
path.
rabbit hole and
Yeah,
until you get to the roots of the whole thing.
yeah,
And then you
yeah,
can really take
yeah,
off
yeah.
because then you might find a whole bunch of obscure people you didn't know about from all over the world who sort of influenced by the same people as war on drugs, but they took it this way.
Yeah,
And
totally.
the other guys took it that way.
Yeah,
War on drugs
yeah,
took it this way,
yeah.
you know, but they all come from the same school, you
Yeah,
know.
well, it's like whiskey, like it's endless, like the endless variety and the different pathways um is
Well,
unbelievable.
especially now that everything is so available.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's the nice thing about like something like YouTube, like like Rowan just set up for you, or iTunes. Think of any song you want to play, basically, or any group or any artist, and oh yeah, and like you can get into so many different streams, right? Like which is just amazing. You know. Yeah, I'll take a quick whiz. I'll be right back.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll wait here.
Okay. I'll be right there. I'll be right back.
Yep. What do you got there?
Some Ardbeg.
Is that the peaty whiskey?
It is, yeah. See, I can never stay away from the pita stuff too long.
Well, I'm glad we're online.
Yes, well, right, because you don't want the smell of this even coming
No.
near you.
No.
That's one advantage, I guess, eh?
You could probably drink it really close to me sitting by a fire.
Right, and then and then you wouldn't notice.
That's right.
It's
No,
funny
I
how
don't
you
know.
don't like. Yeah,
Well,
I think
I
people
don't know
either
what
love
it
the
is.
peanut or hate it, you know?
I wouldn't, it's not that I hate it. It's just one of those smells I can't get along with.
Right.
Like there's a lot of smells Rona doesn't like any kind of sort of manure, heat, uh, sulfur, that kind of stuff. But
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I worked in a lot of farmyards and a lot of farms when we were building granaries and stuff and Quonset huts, and I never minded any of that smell. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
actually, yeah,
it,
I'm the same way. I don't really mind the smell of manure actually at all.
it's strong and it's different if you're sitting in a front room full of people and somebody shits their pants. That's a little bit
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
But if
yeah.
you're outside and it smells like cow manure or horse shit or something, it's not. I mean, what
Yeah, it's kind of got a mixed with hay and open air feel to it, and it just kind of it's not. You're not like you're not searching it out, but like at
Yeah,
the same time, it's the same time. It's like yeah, it kind of almost gives you a. I always found it almost calming or something.
yeah,
You
you're
know?
not rolling in it. You're not
Yeah,
sitting in it. You know,
yeah,
it's just one of those smells that happens to be there, you know. And
yeah, exactly.
in some of our longer bike rides, we go through about, 10 or 15 different minefields of smells, and some of them Rona doesn't really like, but we're through it in a couple of minutes. You go by a pig farm, it smells like a pig farm, which is not great. Or
Mhm.
by a grain farm that has the big silos, and they're grain silos, it's all rotting at the bottom and fermenting, and you smell that.
Yeah.
Or horses or cows or stinkweed, or I don't know. All that stuff outside is fine by me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Inside, I must admit, I like it neutral.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't want a stinky house, unless I'm in my studio. Then I got to keep the incense going. I like lots of incense,
Mm.
coffee and incense.
Incense. So you actually in the
Yeah,
house you do that?
yeah, in the music room.
Interesting.
I close the door, and I always light one stick at a time, and it depends how much time I have to fart around and whatever I'm doing, exercising, or doing some theory, or just playing with tunes, whatever it is. How many sticks? One stick is about 20 minutes or a half hour.
Yeah.
So I feel usually if I do like 4 or 5 sticks, I'm okay. Like to get like 6 or 7 sticks in, but sometimes it's only 2,
Yeah.
3. But that's how I measure. And I kind of liked it because when I first left home and I lived in these old houses, like with, in the hippie days, incense was so exotic. It was like, ooh, this is just like, ooh,
Yeah,
ooh.
yeah, yeah. I know what you're
This
saying.
is
Yeah,
like
for sure.
what they use in the temples, man. This is
Yeah,
like,
or like,
ooh.
or almost like the Indians back in the day,
Yeah,
or like
yes,
Aboriginals. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It gives you that feeling of being, of just going back 200 years or something. Yeah,
Well, I don't, yeah, and it adds to my distraction. If I'm trying to concentrate, I like to have a coffee or two, and I have a little coffee-sized warm plate down there on my desk, and light some incense, and I just go through stuff, and then I've got everything available. And if I want to choose different theory books or albums or discs or books, whatever it is. Surrounded
Mhm.
by guitars and music and stuff and incense, close the door, everything's shut out. Excellent.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's a great way to have it.
Yeah, because my friend's wife used to we used to a group of us all, this is way back in the day, and we had a big house and we all lived together basically. And she would always light this incense, and then we'd sit around and smoke some pot or, just have some drinks. And it was always a very kind of cool, she'd always bring out that incense, and it was always a cool memory of that. Like it's a very nice smell. And like,
Well,
so,
it's
so you do that in
tons
your
of
place.
flavors and stuff, and you can
Yeah.
go down to in Chinatown in the Chinese market and go in the Chinese big store there,
Yeah.
and get these big round parcels of incense for about, I don't know, $5 or something with 100 sticks. Or you
Yeah.
can go even into the dollar store and get these little parcels with about, I think it's 25 sticks for about $1 or $2 or something, $1.50 or something. And I
Sure.
collect it wherever I go. If I see a deal on it or anything, or if I'm in Chinatown, I get a bunch. I've got stacks of it downstairs, just like strings, because I'm always afraid I'm going to run out, or it's how I won't, whatever. I just
Mhm.
buy it when I see it and it's decent price, I buy it because I'm always going to use it, just like strings, you know.
So, but you burn that in your basement, and it doesn't like, have a lingering smell in the house at all?
No, if I close the door, if I
Really? Yeah, yeah.
usually,
Because now that you say that, like Paula, my friend's wife, she used to always light it, and I'm trying to remember now. I think it was in the house, and because if you start smoking cigarettes, for example, or cigars in a house, it kind of just gets into everything. But the incense doesn't do that.
well, no, if I close, Rona likes me to close the door because she doesn't really like the smell, but I'm thinking it's way more enjoyable than most of the smells in the house to
Well,
me.
okay, yeah, well, I agree with you. I agree with you. I can love the
But
smell of incense.
she doesn't really dig it that much. So whenever I'm done, I close that door for however long it takes. And it's that little room downstairs where all the guitars are and everything. It's pretty tight.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
nothing comes out of there.
Yeah,
I could be down there all morning practicing and lighting incense, and it doesn't permeate the house
sure.
unless I leave the door open.
Right.
But
Yeah, I guess it almost acts like it may be a scented candle kind of thing going on, right?
yeah, I think a little deep.
Kinda.
I think a little deeper. So a
Well,
little
it definitely
more.
is deeper. But
You,
but
you,
I just mean the effect it has on the house over time. Like
oh
you
yeah.
can like central candles in a house, you're not worried that the smell is going to permeate into your furniture. Whereas, if you're smoking cigarettes in your living room, it's going to kind of do that, right?
Well, I like to think that however much you take from it, the originality of the association of incense with spirituality, and Buddhism, monks, uh, Asian religious deals and stuff, Indian, whatever. It's like, to me, it gives me a sense of that uh, comfort, and that you're trying to be a little, I don't know about spiritual, but you're trying to just concentrate on one thing, music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the
Mm-hmm.
music studio, light some incense, wash the rest of the world away. You don't want to smell laundry. You don't want to smell the outside. You don't want to smell, you want to smell the church of music,
That
you know?
makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
And to me, I mean, and yeah, I don't know originally what the whole idea was, but that's the sort of idea I get from it. And so, anyways, that's my little ritual.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, got to have that. And in the morning, I get up and I know I've got a bunch of stuff to do, and either in the yard or with one of our vehicles or with our bikes or with the house or something. But first, I've got to have at least an hour or two by myself in the room with the guitar, light some incense, coffee or two, wake the fuck up. And if I got too much on my plate, then the practice is short.
Yeah.
If I don't have that much on my plate, I'm not gonna come upstairs and waste time hovering. I'm gonna play more guitar
Yeah.
and light more sticks and stay down there until I wake up, get an idea what I'm gonna do, and then I go, okay, I'm gonna do this, 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 and this, because I only plan my chores, but my free time and my guitar and music and stuff, I don't plan. I just go, I'm gonna go do that. And wherever, if I'm onto a good thing, you're not gonna stop. But if you get enough time in where you're satisfied, then you can say, okay, well, I've got this other stuff to do. I better go do it. So it's much better in the winter where you just go in there and you go, well, it's not a lot of yard work.
That's right. Yeah.
Can't do anything to the cars, can't do anything to fix the fence, the house, or anything else. So, all right, bonus. More music time.
So I have a question for you. You've been doing a lot of travel. You've done a lot of traveling in your life. If you were going to buy a kind of a let's say, I was talking in Victoria, they're talking about maybe buying a condo out there, and now I got thinking about maybe we should buy something in the US. Like I was kind of looking at New Mexico this week to, just for fun, like, Albuquerque, New Mexico, for example, right? I was just like, come with different ideas. Have you traveled much in the US? Like if you could buy a kind of getaway vacation home somewhere in Canada or the US, where would you buy it?
Well, I haven't been east that much, but so far, there's a lot to like about the coast. So I'd narrow it down to Vancouver Island or one of the Channel Islands or the Okanagan Valley. That being said, my own personal fears are irrational, and I have irrational fears of earthquakes, tsunamis, those kind of things on the West Coast. Probably totally irrational, but I've read so many articles by archaeologists who are saying it's not a matter of if it happens, it's a matter
when.
of
Yeah, that's
when.
right. Yeah.
And so
it's true.
And for a while there, after I read a few articles, I didn't even want to fly to Vancouver because I thought every time we land could be
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
silly.
Yeah.
But then you're standing there and an earthquake happens. Not so silly. Chances are 1 in 1,000, 1 in a million, 1 in 10,000, 1 in 100, 1 in 10. Don't know. Nobody knows. But it is on a fault. But Vancouver Island is super groovy. But you would need so much money to live there. Kelowna is expensive too, but I don't think you'd need as much money to live there. And the temperature is just as moderate, no ocean, but they do have some nice lakes, lots of orchards.
You make a good point about the Kelowna Shuswaps kind of area.
There's Kelowna,
yeah,
all that, the Okanagan Valley kind of deal. It's more arid. It's certainly in the winter, it doesn't really get much winter.
Right.
I mean, it's compared, as a prairie boy, you could handle the winter in Okanagan, no sweat. No sweat.
Sweat. You don't even notice
it. And then what you get there is you don't get all the gloominess of the West Coast.
Right. Yes.
The 160 days of rain or whatever they have, stuff like that. So I would say without experience the East too much, my little trips to Quebec and Saskatchewan, Manitoba and stuff
Yeah.
set aside, I would lean towards the Okanagan Valley. Still safe for me, for my paranoid views of nature, far enough away from the horrific fault line in the ocean. I mean, Vancouver Island and the Channel Islands are very attractive. But like I say, Jesus Christ, these days you'd have to be a millionaire to get something decent
Yeah,
that you don't have to work on all the time
yeah,
and in a nice area and then survive there and comfortably.
yeah.
The Okanagan, I think the land is expensive too, but it wouldn't take as much to live there.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you make a very good point about Okanagan. I should look into that a little bit because I've been down in that area. It's absolutely beautiful. And you're really by just a big lake, right? So earthquakes aren't really going to affect you.
Tsunamis never, tidal waves never.
Tsunamis, none of that stuff would ever be a problem. Uh, even stuff like
Tornadoes, I don't think
yeah,
they've ever had a tornado.
right, right.
So
Yeah, and it's quiet.
that being
Yeah.
said, the thing about, there's lots of places I'd love to live in Scottsdale or Hawaii in the
Mhm.
US, but I have this aversion that if I've always thought if I ever had money, I would never buy property outside of the country because you have no control.
Yeah.
You think you do, but anything could happen, especially if you bought in Mexico or South America.
Oh yeah,
Forget it.
especially yeah,
That
Mexico.
could turn on a dime.
Yeah. That's a whole different thing. Yeah.
That's bullshit. And
Yeah.
in the States, it's not quite as weird, but it's still out of your hands.
Yeah, a little bit.
I
Yeah.
mean, they changed some kind of legislature. All of a sudden, they got a hard on against Canadians or something, or who knows?
Yeah. No.
The
Yeah.
Americans are.
No, you're right because and then you got to think about all that stuff because even like my uncle Hank, he's had a place in Palm Springs for a lot of years, but he's not allowed to be down there for more than 6 months out of the year because there's all sorts of weird tax implications that can happen, right? So, and then my parents just bought a place in Scottsdale, so you have to think about that. And then my friend Jeff, his wife's parents retired and bought a place down in Palm Springs too, I think it was, or Phoenix. But then they started to discover that the whole healthcare system situation was all weird
Yeah,
because they
too.
tried to move down there for too long and they tried to get health insurance, but it was way too expensive. And they're thinking about moving back up to Canada because it didn't make sense anymore and all this. So yeah, so I kind of agree with you. Going to the US has got a whole extra layer of red tape essentially, right?
Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of snowbirds down there, and I know a couple myself. One guy has been down there for, I don't know, in Phoenix for like 20 years or longer.
Mm.
And he's retired and he's big and fat and probably a drain on the healthcare system, but he's quite intelligent and semi-active. I wouldn't say he's that active.
Yeah.
But he's a smart guy and he's quick. He's not like, anyways. But he still relies on the Canadian healthcare system too.
Mm. Mm.
And he's, like I say, he's one of those people who, because he is lazy and overeats and overdrinks and everything, he's ballooned. So he's going to be a big burden on somebody's health system, probably ours,
Yeah.
because when it comes down to all of a sudden where he really needs help, where's he going to go? He's going to move back here.
Right.
And
Yeah,
claim his Canadian citizenship and go, I was born here, man. You got to help me out. You got to pay
Yeah, right.
$100,000 a year to keep care of me.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. And if he stayed there and went into a hospital or a nursing home or a diabetes care center or whatever they have, man, you'd be at the ass in bills. $100,000 a year,
Yeah.
no problem.
Yeah, and you're right. That's one of the first because what I would like to do, I'm just trying. Like, I don't know if I want to do this for sure, but kind of been thinking about this lately. It'd be kind of cool to like, for a while, for the next 10 or 20 years, all else being equal, is to maybe, you know, kind of that snowbird thing, right? Where you kind of avoid the winter here a little bit. Maybe,
Well,
maybe,
yeah,
you're,
but
maybe you're here for 3 weeks and then you go down there for 2 weeks, like, like back and forth. Where Edmonton is still the home base, right?
well,
But then
you've
you're
got
like,
a major, don't you think you have a major advantage?
what do you mean?
Your parents already have a place in
Well,
Scottsdale.
oh, totally.
That's like an axis, right?
Yeah, but
You,
yeah,
you
you
could
know,
go
totally.
down there and you could
Yeah.
go down there and spin off anywhere. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
you know, they get on in age and they go there less and less and stuff, and you go more and more. And
Mm,
either you buy them out or you just say, well, I'll keep care of the place for you, you know. And then maybe it goes to all the kids if they pass away and stuff like that. And but you have an axis pinwheel to start from. If you didn't have that, then you could say, well, should I get a place down in the States and stuff? And then you've got you've got to have somebody look after it, or
yeah,
rent it out and look after it for you,
yeah,
because you're gonna make it down there. I don't know how often,
yeah.
because then I think it's a pretty good point right there not in the central states, but in nice southwestern states where you could go anywhere from there. I mean,
Oh,
what's Vegas?
well,
4.5 hours. What's Chicago? 4.5 hours. What's Miami? 9 hours.
yeah,
Texas, 4 hours.
yeah.
You know,
Totally. It's a real
Los
actually,
Angeles,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
5 hours.
San Diego, yeah, California, yeah. It's all right. It's amazing actually. We're talking about
And you
doing
can
some
go
different.
to all those loony places and then run back to Scottsdale for some peace and quiet.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
Because as fun as Vegas, Los Angeles, Dallas, and Miami might be, I don't know if I'd want to stay in those places. You'd want to go back to a nice,
Calm,
calming
quiet. Yeah,
Scottsdale.
yeah.
You create your own noise, not try to live with the noise that's there.
Totally.
You know.
Yeah, actually, I'm really looking forward to. Like, I think that's why that idea of maybe driving from Florida to
Well, you know,
Scottsdale came up.
I had a second idea about that, and I thought, you know, at first I thought, okay, because yeah, but then I thought, well, you know what? It would be great. Fly down there, hit the boat, and then land again, pick up a vehicle, and do exactly what you say. Take 5 days to get back to Scottsdale, but you're seeing, like, I don't know what the route would be, but you're probably seeing if you go from Miami to Texas, you got to go through Louisiana,
Yeah,
probably the bottom tip of Mississippi, over to Texas, and then through New Mexico maybe, and
yeah.
so you're seeing a lot of great stuff. It would be a pretty good adventure,
You really would be.
I think, you know, and
Yeah,
then, you know,
yeah,
take your time. You're not speeding around or being rushed,
yeah. That's right.
and a good, you know, plan for 5 days, or plan
Right.
for 7 if you make it in 5,
Yeah,
whatever. If you make it in
exactly.
7 or 8, whatever.
Exactly.
And then get to Scottsdale and mellow out for 5 or
Mm-hmm.
7 days or something.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, I would be in. I wouldn't want to be in a rushed situation.
No,
We
no,
gotta
no,
we gotta get here by then. We gotta get
no,
over
no,
there.
no. That would not be the idea at all.
But
No.
if there's a rough sketch of renting a vehicle for whenever we're done,
Yeah.
and then with a point of, okay,
You keep it open and you keep the vehicle rental open.
we're gonna get,
Yeah.
we're aiming for Scottsdale,
Yeah.
but we don't know how long it's gonna take.
Yeah. I'm sure they do that all the time. Like, and then you say, we'll let you know when we're done with the vehicle. And I'm sure they do that all the time.
I that sounds good to me. That's almost like a road trip. Well,
Yes,
no,
total
it is
road
a
trip
road
style.
trip,
Road
but
trip
it
style.
would be way more conversational and way more interesting than getting on a plane or on a boat or anything like that, to me, because
Yes.
I'm used to traveling the road like that, and that's when you're on the ground and you see the places, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like I drove to Victoria one time and back, and I did it. I was just by myself, and this is years ago.
That's a good
And
drive.
what's that? Yeah, yeah.
That's a
And I
good
did the
drive.
same thing. Like, I drove like 4 hours, and then I stayed overnight, and then I drove another 4 hours to stay overnight. Like, I stayed in Valemount, and then I stayed in Kelowna, and then or Kamloops, and then I stayed, and like I still remember that trip, like because the scenery and staying in different areas, just being on the ground, there's something about it, man. There's something about it.
Well, of
It's really
course,
cool.
it's way more tactile. I mean,
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
get it, you can get out anytime you want, touch it, feel it, taste it.
Mm-hmm.
Hit,
Mm-hmm.
hit some obscure diner on the highway somewhere, and
Mm-hmm.
or pull up alongside. Okay, this is where Robert Johnson hit the crossroads in Mississippi, way out in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because
Mm-hmm.
anywhere you go, they're an old enough country where wherever you're traveling along those blue highways or the
Yeah.
standard #1 highways now,
Yeah.
you'll find places of significance everywhere. It's like
Yes.
going, it's
Yes.
like going through England, which is like 10 times as old.
Yeah.
And in England, where every foot you walk, something happened, right?
Yeah.
So in
Yeah.
the States, it's all kind of like that too.
Yeah.
Not as concentrated, but when I was in Mississippi, it was like, I was like, oh my God, I'm in Mississippi. This is
Yeah.
like the home of everything for music. Oh my God. And Meridian, and then that was a big racial thing and music thing. And it was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I'm in Meridian, Mississippi. Fuck
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big rebel flags everywhere. But yeah, and then when you mentioned it, at first I thought, oh God, we're going to spend more money and do all this shit. God damn it. Because I didn't see the big picture and I wasn't really thinking. I just, anyways, because in the first place, the boat trip thing, I think it's going to be good. I think
Yeah,
it'll
it'd
be
be fun.
wonderful. I've never done it,
Yeah.
but I've always had always been against it.
Mm.
I've always thought it's like being trapped on a floating mall.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is a little bit like that. It's a little
Well,
bit like
but
that.
that's the voice of inexperience time.
Yeah.
But now
But
I think more of what Rona wants to do and what excites her, and she really wants to do it. So I just went, I think that's a great idea.
no, and like it's only the cruise, like it's only 6 days, right? So it goes by pretty quick. And what happens is you usually have 3 excursions. So you have 3 days out of those 6 where they're stopped at a port where you can go out and do an excursion, right? So you can spend the
That's
whole
a
day.
that's a lot of white people to be stuck with for 6 days.
A lot of white people.
Well, a lot
Yeah,
of white people who are going to be listening to AM radio or whatever they're listening to. Jesus Christ.
yeah, that's true. But like,
No
but
funky music in sight.
well, yeah, that's possible. That's possible.
Possible? It's a for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, you're actually
There'll be
right
a
about
bunch
that.
of Saskatchewan farmers and their housewives and guys from Minnesota, and
Well,
I'm denigrating it.
make
It's going to
sure
be
make sure you
fantastic.
buy some headphones and have your iTunes on your phone. You can listen to any music you want anytime, right? We can listen to War on Drugs. We can do whatever we want, right?
That's right.
Or
But
what? But
you certainly enhanced it when you mentioned that idea, and then I thought about it and I thought, geez, it's like the old time road trips. Get off the boat, go right to the car rental, fuck
right,
off,
right,
and then cut the chain.
yep. And now,
Ding,
and
ding.
now you're your own kind of schedule, and you just you have a general idea where you're going, but it's totally free and footloose. Like you're just like whatever, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
and then
that,
yeah.
that would be like a 3-week vacation, approximately.
Yes, about 3 weeks.
Sort
Yeah.
of,
Yep.
give or take, give or take.
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
And like,
I'm certainly up for that.
and you got to think it's January, like it's like mid-January to into February. You're killing the worst 3 or 4 weeks in Edmonton, right? You're killing it down in Florida and Texas and New Mexico and Arizona. Like, how can you beat that, right?
Yeah. Well, that would provide a lot of stories, actually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's my usual thing is my initial reaction is always reject, 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 because yeah. But I always, if somebody gives me time to think about it, even a few hours or half a day or something,
Yeah,
it takes me a little time to see the big picture.
that's right.
Same around here and stuff like that. And no changing that, but then you start to see it and then it blossoms and you see more and you go, fuck yeah, yeah. That's a little more rock and roll.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's the opposite of the cruise ship.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. But the thing to remember, like, this boat might be a little bit different than the one we went on. I've only been on one cruise in my life. But the cool thing is you can find like the cruise, at least the one we were on, it was the biggest ship in the world at the time or something weird. And I think this one, I don't know about what this one exactly is like, but it was really cool because it had a casino. Okay.
Oh
It
no.
had a,
I'm gonna be broke by the time we leave there. A
but it had
casino?
multiple pools and beach bars on the boat. So you would just go up and you would sit at some beautiful beach bar and you look out and it's ocean in every direction you can see, right? So it's got nothing to do with like being stuck in a mall, right? But I know what you're saying because they had the one kind of an area where it almost felt like Bourbon Street at West Edmonton Mall.
Yeah.
They had a main strip across the middle of the boat that felt like that. Okay. Which is kind of okay, but it feels a little bit like a mall, right? So you can be down there for 2 or 3 hours at a time, and there's some different restaurants and bars and places. But then but the real action I found for me was you go up to the upper decks where they have the pools and they have lawn chairs. You can just bask in the sun, and it's water or it's either pool water or ocean water as far as you can see, right? And you just relax, right? And you have another drink and you read a book and you do whatever. And it's kind of like it's very that so you can do that as much as you want. And then they have other things, casino. And then every night they had different shows. If you want to sign up to do these different shows, they had stand-up comedians. They had these really interesting shows and stuff. So you're pretty entertained the whole time if you want to be. And then, like I say, you're only on there for 6 days, and 3 of the days is an excursion. So one of the days we stopped in Jamaica. So we went kayaking in Jamaica for the whole day. It was amazing. And then there's a rum distiller we stopped at. They showed us, it was really cool. We went snorkeling another time, for half the day. Me and Linda were looking at the options for this tour, and one of them was a rum tasting tour. The other, one day if you wanted to do it. The other one was a snorkeling thing. Snorkeling's, you go out snorkeling for 6 hours in a super beautiful bay, right? So like you can do all these different things, And so it doesn't feel like there's a lot of variety, right? There's a lot of variety is the point I'm trying to make. But yeah, if you did it too much, too often, yeah, it's a little bit like a floating mall, a little bit. I know what you're saying.
Well, like I say, this is coming from somebody who has zero experience on ships. It's just the image I get. And
Yeah.
then you see the people lining up for it and you go, oh my God. It's like, it's like,
Yeah, like the one thing I remember saying is like it feels like a floating Vegas. Like it feels a little bit like a floating Vegas, right? Like it's a little bit like that, for sure.
yeah, well,
You know,
I guess that's what it is. I
Yeah.
guess so. It kind of would be like going to Vegas because Vegas is kind of unreal too, right?
yeah, it's kind of got that little bit. It's a little bit artificial, plasticky, shiny, kind of.
Little bit.
Well, a little bit, a lot. Yeah, a lot.
Okay.
But then, like,
Okay, so that would be the opposite. So we could call this our salt and pepper tour, or sugar and salt tour. Get the sugar first and the salt later. I mean, and then you hit the road and get a beautiful taste of reality just going through down the highway.
yeah, you kind of feel like you just got out of school, right?
Yeah.
It's all about scheduling, and then you're like, hey, we're on our own, where we want to be.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. It's starting to sound pretty good. I think I'm probably going to go have a smoke and go to bed. I should.
Yeah, it is getting kind of late here. It's
I'll
1:16,
just
so
keep drinking this.
yeah, which is not a really good idea to drink too late, hey?
No, I mean, it tastes pretty good on ice.
It does. Yeah, I know it's a really good pickup. Thanks for the bottle, man. Really appreciate it.
Well, I mean, like I say, it was just by chance. It's not like I know what I'm doing.
No, it's
So,
really good.
just a little bit of roll of the dice and their eye-catching propaganda. Yeah, what are you gonna do?
It's a little.
In this day and age
It's
of
quite the marketing. It's quite the marketing. I gotta say, you did a good job on that. I gotta say.
well, in this day and age of of heavy duty marketing and PR and stuff, I mean,
Well, and you can tell because on the one side it says Alberta, the other side it says Canada. It's all about because it's a lot of international. Calgary Stampede is an international event, really. So you got lots of people there from all over the place, and it's kind of like, hey, get a whiskey from there. So it's a good idea, and it's a decent whiskey. There's no question.
yeah, I bet you after they made this stuff, they sold a shit ton.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, yeah, I'll put mine downstairs and save it for the summer of hopefully some yard fires. And yeah, I'll check my wood supply and see if I got a half a sack or so to donate to you. Of maple, right? That's what you want?
Maple, yeah, I would love to mix the maple into the mix, and I can send some birch back your way
Yeah.
as a.
We'll see if you got a surplus. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think we do. I think we
We'll
do.
always buy more, I mean, and maybe uh, maybe that guy offers different stuff, He's probably got a ton of poplar. Everybody's got poplar. That's the prairie wood. Oh yeah. No, I'll just check, and I'm sure we have at least a half a sack or a sack to give you. Enough for a couple of fires, anyways.
That'd be awesome.
And if I get it together quick enough and make a note of it, I'd probably toss it in the truck, and when we go looking at whiskey barrels, it'd be the same time, just drop it off and you'll have it.
Yeah. Well, let's plan an afternoon here. We'll go and do a little whiskey barrel shopping.
Okay.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Okay, good talk.
All right, man.
It's all clearer to me now.
Yes, it's all making sense. It's all
It
making
is.
sense at 1:20 in the morning.
It is. Well, I wish you could come outside with me and have a smoke.
Actually, I might go outside right now and crack a cigar, actually.
Jesus Christ. Well, I don't know how to take this thing with me, so
Yeah.
I guess that's out of the question. Okay, man. Well,
right,
next
man.
time we'll be doing this together out in around a fire or something.
Absolutely, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay, see
Colin.
ya. You betcha.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.